surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 64, my scheduled guest was Kevin Annett, and he was unable to attend, and I wasn't able to find another guest on short notice. So I'm going to fill in and talk about some of the misconceptions that are commonly held about ET and about space travel. Now, please be aware that these are my own beliefs, my own truth, and also my own opinion. What I recommend you to do is to go out and do your own research and find out what is truth for yourself, because really it does no good to just believe everything people say. It's really good for you to do your own synthesis and come up with your own ideas on what reality is all about. So what I'm going to say today will probably shake up your paradigm a bit. Not too many people are saying these things, but I really feel that people need to hear what I'm about to say. Because in my experience, this is absolute truth. And with the beings that I communicate with, this has been actually verified. Now, I might not get into as much detail as you'd like on each point, because I don't have clear understanding. I just have basic knowledge. I'm not a scientist. I'm not anybody special, but I am here to help correct, collapse, and start new timelines. And in order to do that, I have to get information out to everybody. So please bear with me. And if some of this stuff does not resonate with you, don't worry about it. There is no right thing or wrong thing really to believe. This is all about exploring our reality and discovering for ourselves what might be true and what might not be true. But I have to say, I've been watching quite a bit of information that's come. There are many people coming out with information that they've been given by different groups of E.T.s and humans who claim to have E.T. contact and space travel adventures. And it's hard to tell which experiences are real and those which are not, since most of us who make such claims have little to no proof or hard evidence. And that would include me. I have had all kinds of adventures and I have absolutely no proof that this happened or that I went here or did that. I don't have proof. And so I wouldn't expect you to believe me. And I'm hoping that you would take the same stance with the information from other people and don't necessarily believe them either. But weigh this information that I'm about to give you, weigh it out in your mind and see how and what fits for you, and the rest, don't worry about it. So I will endeavor to share with you some of my thoughts and let you decide as to what is real and what is not real for yourself. So the first point that I would like to make is that humanoids, all humanoids, none of us evolved from lower life forms. That is just not true. It's not true scientifically. It's not true spiritually. It's just not true. We have been so indoctrinated by evolution theory that we expect humanoids to have evolved slowly over time from lower species of beings living on our planet of origin. And some examples of that would be, some people say the reptilians evolved from dinosaurs or lizards, and some people say that the avians evolved from birds, etc., etc., etc. And that has not been my truth at all. The truth is that all humanoids have been created and then were transported to many worlds by a process kind of like transpermia. We're not translocated via asteroids, but we're gently placed in our destination worlds. We begin as created, perfect humanoids, and then we change a bit over time via adaptation to our worlds, which give us the diversity of physical form. And that is why we are so similar in appearance. Consider for a moment the diversity we see among the human population here on Earth. We have different skin tones and eye shapes to adapt us to various climates. Even if you consider the great diversity of appearance from people who live in the same climate and community, we see huge variation of noses, teeth, ears, height, and so on. And the same is true for E.T. So I've never, ever, ever seen any evidence or had any experience where we just see all the beings from this star system or that planet, and they all look like this or they all look like that. I have never seen that. And that doesn't even really make sense when you take into consideration the diversity that we have here on Earth. Why wouldn't it be like that on other planets? A certain amount of variation occurs as beings live in different climates and on different planets, but we were created and genetically modified for settlement and resettlement by beings who are vastly superior to us. These are sometimes called the founders, and in history, especially ancient history, these were often referred to as gods. In my experience, E.T.s hold the same amount of diversity as we would see here on Earth amongst the human population. Evolution theory is an earthly construct, and intergalactically speaking, there is no evolution from lower creatures into humanoids. Appearances differ, but they don't stray much from the basic humanoid physiology. And one more point that I'd like to make is we carry within our genetic code a template for all other living things that we share the planet with. Trees, animals, all living things. On Earth, very little is clearly understood about what makes us humanoid or truly human. A lot of people don't realize that. We carry the genetics for trees, bugs, everything within our genetic code. But the sort of zippers that form the proteins, that form how we present physically, is more active in humans, and the same would go for other animals. They would be more active within their genetic codes for what they're supposed to be, but it's all actually there. Next, let's consider some common misconceptions about space travel. Space travel is not linear, which means that we don't travel from point A to point B the way we do here on Earth. When it comes to space travel, point A becomes point B. I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, but just think about it. You have a source point and you have a destination point, but you have no travel between points. If you want a simulation of this, watch the series called Star Trek Discovery and check out their spore drive system, and that will get you closer to the truth than what's commonly believed about space travel today. Now, consider the fact that all Earth-like life-supporting planets are actually constructed terrariums. I'll put an image here of the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt as found surrounding our solar system, for those of you that aren't familiar. We live on a planet which is part of a supporting solar system that resembles the yolk inside of an egg. The Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt are here to insulate and protect us, while the planets provide influence and stability here on Earth. Within this terraformed planet or terrarium, we change over time as we adapt to our natural environment. This is why we see evidence of giants and tiny beings, all within the natural human family found here on Earth. I should say, yeah, we see evidence of it, but we don't actually see them, not too often. I think as late as the late 1800s, though, there's actually pictures and film of some of the giants and some of the tiny beings that used to inhabit planet Earth. Where they went, I'm not sure, but I have my suspicions. Since we live in a protected environment and since space travel is not linear, many of what we call E.T.s are teleported here from non-linear time and non-linear space. In order to move physically to another terrarium-like planet, beings would have to undergo genetic and physical modification, because once we leave Earth's atmosphere, we degrade very, very quickly. Humans need a specific atmosphere, gravity, microbiome, macrobiome, moon phases and seasons, nutrient content of our food, and much more. And it's absolutely necessary for balanced health. So as soon as you take us away from the planet where we were born and adapted to, and try to spend time in what we consider outer space or on other planets, we have to go through some physical modification to make that possible. So all these stories about people that have gone to these different planets or different solar systems, I don't see how that's possible unless they have some way of being reconditioned to the new environment. And if you want to know more about that, for sure, check out my other podcasts on the Intergalactic Resettlement Program. But as the stories are being told on social media, I don't see how that's possible. Not and be able to maintain health. You know, even we're told there's a space station, people are all living on the space station. No, not really. That's not possible. Not possible if we want to maintain our health and our vitality anyway. So you can't travel or teleport to another world and just simply adjust. There's too much at stake. For more information, as I mentioned, on the process of preparing the body for space travel or life on other worlds, definitely check out my series about the Intergalactic Resettlement Program. Further, different ET races or groups from another specific planet are not discrete beings. There is much diversity of appearance, and only the lowest of the 3D beings use language. So I'm talking about spoken word. They also hold much diversity of character, and there are no purely good or benevolent or bad malevolent ETs. There's no such thing as these homogeneous so-called races. It just doesn't work that way. And it doesn't take long, at least in the grand scheme of things, for beings to use telepathy. They start off using telepathy. However, for some reason, that was banished from the Earth realm here several, probably, I don't know how long ago, thousands of years ago, and we were forced to use only spoken language, which has led to all kinds of problems. And you can see why it would be very inferior to telepathic language, which most beings would use, especially once they start to get closer to ascension, or at least really start to evolve into who they can become. So much information described by experiencers borrows heavily from mainstream stories like legends, myths, inaccurate archaeological assumptions, and experts who did their best to translate from the oldest texts, but miss the mark when it comes to accuracy and understanding. And a word about what we think of as outer space. Space is not a vacuum, it's a fluid. Our atmosphere is also a fluid, but we have been taught that the air we breathe and feel via the wind is simply empty space. It is not empty space. Our atmosphere has resistance similar to water, but we are accustomed to moving about within it, and so we don't notice it. Also, we've been brainwashed to believe that there is nothing there. Many sacred texts mention the life and the healing power of earth, air, water, and sunshine. Each of these are teeming with life and potential. That includes not only physical potential, but spiritual potential as well. This leads to a discussion arising from the question of what is God? Let's start with the question of what God is not. God is not a physical being or an advanced E.T. humanoid. God is not some obscure energy life form, which is unknowable and unreachable. God is what we call our creator, and it's a higher dimensional being or beings comprised of eternity and infinity, which are funneled through finite time and space. It's a creative tesseract. From our perspective, the creator knows all and is all. There's no individuality in the higher dimensions, but there are clusters of what we would call souls. The higher the dimensional reality, the more souls are combined to become what we would consider one being. God is such a being, providing divine balance, yin and yang, to the whole. In sharp contrast, we reside in the 3D reality on planet Earth. Everything has to do with degeneration and regeneration, also known as death and renewal. There is nothing to fear, only lessons to learn until we're ready to ascend to the next step. In the next higher dimensional reality. And so we progress and experience spiritual evolution. All ET beings are aware of God, absolutely. Whether they want to worship God or, let's say, rather than worship, more like cooperate with, is up to them. And many do stray from the pattern of what I would call the love harmonic, and they don't really do very well as a result. We're built systems within systems for a very clear purpose. And remember that all of our science and our history has recently been fabricated to keep us from understanding who we are, why we're here, and what we are capable of becoming. But this is changing very quickly. I recently had a vision of a huge mountain that suddenly it just cracked right in half, and it revealed all of the secrets that have been forbidden and hidden from humanity. I believe this signifies that something very beneficial is coming very, very soon. We just kind of got to endure this icky interim period. Finally, I'd like to point out that if ET resides in the physical 3D reality, then they are working on the same level of soul development as we are. They will be susceptible to the same negative traits and challenges as us. The same is true for their virtues and their positive intentions. As I mentioned before, there are no purely benevolent ET races, or else they would be ascending and leaving the three-dimensional plane. If they are here, then they are working themselves out just the same way as we are. The exception to this would be when higher beings come back to the 3D reality in order to improve the ecology of the omniverse. and that would be a spiritual mission. So just as there's a health of the being, me or you or me, health of our planet, there's also an ecology and a health that goes with our solar system, that goes with our galaxy, that goes covers everything, all that is, whether it's physical or spiritual. And in order to maintain that ecology, higher beings will at times come back to planets like Earth and try to teach us something that we just seem to be missing the boat on. And it's actually causing harm to other systems because we're all very much connected. So what is the solution to the plethora of choices of belief that we may hold about ET and outer space? Are there some basic principles that we can rely on that can help us to make choices as to what we want to believe in and what we want to discard? The first thing, and I can't stress this enough, is to be aware of false prophets and messiahs. Everyone who claims to represent and speak for any extraterrestrial groups or races is suspect. I don't mean to be unkind or judgmental. This is just the way I see it. Any one of these who claim that their ET leader or group is going to come here and emancipate humanity or do away with evil or remove the challenges which are part of our soul development is held accountable for this deception. So why would they not want to come and rescue us? Lots of reasons. The first one is because they have knowledge and faith in our ability to rescue ourselves. The other thing too is the ascension process is a sacred process, and no being would willfully interfere with that. So while we're here on this planet, and this particular planet, our lessons all have to do with, like I mentioned, death and renewal, degeneration and regeneration. And so we will go through all kinds of cycles while we're alive on this planet. And it's important for us to do this work, especially the shadow work, so that we can evolve into higher beings at some point. So there is only one way to escape, and this is through a devotion to hold a higher frequency in order to make ascension possible. And when we increase and hold higher frequency, we unleash what is sometimes called Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness. Life then becomes a very different experience. There is no death, and we make contact with higher dimensional beings who assist us with our journey. And there are many, many sacred texts from the West, from the East that support this idea. So to find out how you can increase your resonant frequency and hold it for longer periods of time until it becomes habit, check out my free online course. It's called Quantum Health Transformation. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel. Select the 2.0 Quantum Health Transformation series, or you can visit my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and check out my free resources. And some of those free resources also include this free online course. So this is a fairly heavy duty course. It's not really easy for people to work their way through. I'm here to help if you need it. But the basic course is fairly self-explanatory. It's broken down into 9 different steps. The first 3 steps are about opening your mind to see things differently. And the first step is step 9. And the very last step you'll do is step 1. You see, step 9 builds a foundation for step 8, which builds a foundation for step 7. Each one prepares you in ascending order for the next step. And until we're able to raise our awareness and our consciousness, it's very difficult for us to actually have the kind of life that we're all hoping to have and that we want. And so that would be steps 9, 8, and 7. Steps 6, 5, and 4 are all about detoxification. This world is nothing like what we thought it was. And there are so many things that have happened to our food supply, our air, our water, how we're taught to think and express ourselves emotionally. And then there's also the construct itself, and we need to detoxify from all of it. And it's all there in my free online course. Once we've done the first three steps, and we move into the second 3 steps, and then at the third or last 3 steps, those are things to help you to become more spiritual, how to get onto the process of ascension, what that may do for you, how to build your soul team, how to make your life look very different than the way it looks right now. Unless, of course, you're really happy with what you have right now, in which case I would not recommend that you do this course. But most of us can use a boost and can use, kind of a bit of help to help us to do better on Earth. And that's what we need to do. So we need to learn how to work with the seasons, with the different phases of things. We need to learn a lot that has never been taught really to humanity before. So where did I get this program? Is it that I'm so smart? Nope, not at all. I got it in a download from higher beings. I got it in an instant. It took me, at least 2 years to really unpack it and put it together. And I'm currently working on step 3.0, series 3.0, all 9 steps, because new information has come to light that I want to add to the program. And so that's what I would recommend that you do. And it absolutely will help you to become a higher frequency being, but also to hold higher frequency. So remember, don't believe everything that you're told through social media. Don't believe everything you're told through entertainment. It's all entertainment. Really, it is. What I recommend that you do is do research and just stick to that which resonates with you. But in the meantime, perhaps watch this video again, because some of these ideas are not commonly held. And before you get angry or judge me for what I've said here, I simply recommend that you keep your mind open and consider these facts when you're listening to so-called leaders or gurus or spokespeople for different intergalactic or galactic beings. Now, you might be saying, well, Karen, aren't you a bit of a hypocrite? Here you're talking about the intergalactic resettlement program, all kinds of beings on the big ship. How is it that you're able to talk about all of them? Well, I'm not their spokesperson. I clearly state that in pretty much every video I make about my experiences. I'm not their spokesperson, but I am allowed to talk about my own experience and my own perceptions of those experiences. And so that's about it for today. I guess we'll keep it short, and we'll be back next week. And I'm very happy that I definitely have a guest for next week. And let me see, who is my guest next week? Dan Willis. Dan Willis. Now, Dan Willis is an amazing human being. He has had documented first experience himself with E.T.s. He has seen spaceships from his time in the military, in the American military. He has been on panels and trying to expose this information and trying to bring it out into the light. And he's also got a wonderful website that shows you why we're not getting accurate information. What are the forces that are controlling us and holding us back? He's absolutely brilliant, man. Very excited to have him on the show next week. So I hope you'll all come back next week and join me again for the Quantum Guide Show. Much light and love to all of you. Take care. Thanks for joining me on the Quantum Guide Show.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Surrendering to endlessness. all my inner strife to rest, for time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less, and the sages put me to their test, with heart and soul to do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to okay.